drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.
Hello and welcome to Edupedia World. Hello and welcome to the X-Wing modeling series. We will now, in this part we will be making these motors. So you can see the X-Wing has got 4 of them and they sit behind these large turbines or whatever they are called. I don't know very much about spacecrafts, but we are going to be making these 4 things. And yep, let's jump right into it. So this was my training, so I did this before I started this tutorial series, so I'll go into the one that we have created so far. So as you can see, we've already got the 4 turbines, but we need the 4 small motors. So you can see when I made this I wasn't very accurate. I just placed the motors where I wanted. Why is it lagging? Oh my god, it's lagging for some reason. Alright, but we can make this anyway. Alright, so we want to look at some reference first of all. This is decent reference. We can see this shows where the motors should be placed. I think of this model I may have placed the motors a little bit too far back, but it does not really matter. You can make it different on your model. So right now I'm just looking for great pictures of the motors in the rear. These are very good. You can see we've got this cool looking pattern, and I think that's about it. So I'll mainly be using this for reference. It should be pretty obvious that I'm going to start using a cylinder, and I'll place it about right here. So I'll go into the top view, and I'll try and use this to get a great sense of the size. Since it was a little bit off when I made the large motor, I think it would look pretty good if this motor was placed here. I think that wouldn't be too far off. No, it wouldn't. This would look pretty good. Alright, so we've got the motor, and then we've got some bands or something going around. We could make some tubing that's going around. Well, we've got a few bumps and this large bump and the exhaust. Alright, we can make that. So press C and optimize the cylinder. Alright, so let's start by making just some general shapes. If we go in here, you can see it's around about here that we need this large bump. So I'll take these 2 parts, press MT to extrude, and press T to kind of scale it in a little bit actually. And I will then make a cut right next to this, I think right there, and I will scale inwards. And you can see the amount of sides that I picked fits all right with these with this pattern. So we can have 2 full and then 1 whole. Alright, so if we look at this ring may be a little bit too thick. And the issue with this X-Wing is that we do not have very good reference of it. Alright, I will start by making a few cuts right here. So in this picture I don't think it looks very interesting, so I'll try to make it a little bit more interesting myself. And since this is my creation, it's not an accurate replica of the X-Wing, I do not care. Alright, and so I think this is where I'm going to have the tubing that's going around, and I will make some interesting, try and make some interesting stuff happen in this area. Okay, so we can see we've got some details, that's some small knobs and stuff, and there are also some indents, so I'll make some of those, and they're really easy to make. Just add a bit of geometry, and then you go around with the selection tool. Just select the parts that you want to be pushed in. So empty, and then I'll push this in quite a bit, and I will show I've got a pretty cool idea for this hole. So let's do it like this, so we have all the subdivisions, and I will also make something cool over here. So there we go. Alright, we can make a few cuts that goes around. I'll add this subdivision. Just check out how it looks. Looks pretty decent. I think I will insert right here again. And cut right there, cut right there. So we can see we've got some nice edges. These are really sharp. Looks very nice. I will add another cut right there just to sharpen it up a little bit. And now we want to add the circles. Sorry, these rings. Okay, so we can do this using these splines. Just add a circle spline, and I think I'll take all this Alt G to put it into a null and put the spline outside, because I do not want this to be subdivided. It's going to take a lot of memory out of the system. So scale it in and just figure out how it fits. Alright, I will use a sweep nabs. I'll duplicate this circle, and I'll change the thickness to maybe just 0.4, and change this to I think it's called uniform, and lower this to where it's like 4 or something, and change this to uniform as well, and increase it till we get this kind of geometry. So this is going to be very smooth. And there we go. Now we've got a ring that sits tight around. So we can take this sweep nib and just duplicate it a few times, and also duplicate one, put it over here, and for this one I'll change the radius of this guy so it's inside of the hole. And before I do that, I'll actually turn it up, and I think I have no, you can't do it with this, sorry. Uniform, it's alright, and I'll just change this radius so it fits inside, and maybe make the tubing a little bit thicker, like this. If I render this, it should look alright, and I think it does. I just realized that I forgot something, because these grills, I also want to add some grills onto this thing. So we've got these nice grills. It's a heatsink, sorry. I even named it myself. So we can place this heatsink in the same axis as this cylinder, and we want to do that, so I'll first of all just put it under the null. I'd like to just see if I've put this in a... No, as you can see, this heatsink is not under a subdivision, so I'm not going to put it in a subdivision over here as well. So we want to go here and choose world, and we want to take the X coordinate, copy that and paste it onto the heatsink, and we want to take the Y coordinate of the cylinder and paste that onto the heatsink. There we go. And if I now scale it, I can make it fit nicely. And I think I'll just scale it down a little bit and just make it bigger, just big enough to clear the surface. I'll move these to this side and move these to the other side, and I will quickly check with the other model that I have, see what I've done there. So here I've gone for a little bit different design. Alright. On the other design I had it was quite an interesting idea. I used an array. So if I create an array, put it inside the null, and in this array, if I may like add a cylinder, I use the cylinder to make, I would almost call it handles. So I'll make 8 sides and press C. And then this was an interesting technique that I figured out. Press L and move this. Hold R and rotate 30 degrees at a time. And move down. There you go. And if I put this into a symmetry and change the axis to the correct, there we go. We can now make a cool little handle. And if I select this, I can put it to 0 in the object relative, and I'll try to make these to pair up. There we go. And this is now a decent looking handle. I'll delete the bottom. I'll scale it to be a little bit smaller, and I'll even put it into a subdivision. Sorry, no I won't. I'll put it into this array, and then I'll put the array into a subdivision. And now if I change the radius, so you can see they're swapped them out. I couldn't. I will need to take the cylinder and rotate it 180 degrees. And now I can change the array's radius. And maybe scale it in to make them smaller, and then increase the radius. I'll just add them right here or something. This looks pretty cool, and I will duplicate them, and I'll make some smaller version that I'll even take this symmetry and no, I can't. I think I'll have to go in here and rotate it, but why doesn't that work? I'll put it just into a null and rotate that null, and then I can make them fit this curvature. So I'll decrease this to something like this, or maybe a little bit more, 8, and I'll rotate this null and scale it to be a little bit smaller, and I will even add some more copies, and this should be good. We can also add some small buttons. Alright, so I'll just make a button, and I can make it very large and then scale it down in the end. Press C, optimize, and I will delete these back facing polygons. UL to select the front polygons, scale in, and do something like this. And this is where you need to be creative. So let's just do like this, and in order to get all quads, I will dissolve these edges, and then I'll add some support loops and put it into a subdivision, and I'll only subdivide it one time. I'll call this I don't know, bolt, and I'll scale it to be very small, and that's why I don't need all the resolution. And I will take this null, go to world, and copy the Y position, and give that Y position to this bolt. There we go. Make it a little bit smaller, and I think I'll actually put it into an array. So take maybe this sweep node, use that to create the array, and add the bolt. Let's see how it works. I will first of all decrease the radius, change the angle, and I will change the angle of this bolt as well. we go. And I'll also make it a little bit smaller. And let's find somewhere to put it. I will just scale it and rotate it to fit. There we go. And I think this motor looks pretty cool right now. I don't think we need to add any more details, or at least I won't. You are free to add as many details as you would like, but I need to get on with this. So what I want to do now is to create this pattern that we see here. And this can be a challenge. I think it will be easier to do this if I take all these polygons, UI to grow, and if I split them and that way create a whole new piece of geometry. So I'll delete this, and that way I'll have two pieces of geometry. Alright, so right here I will pick this edge and I will just dissolve it. Then let's see what we got. So we've got I'll count this number of sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We've got 36 sides. Alright, so 36 divided by 3, because we need 3 of these, is 12. So we need to just keep that number in mind, 12. Alright, so I'll select this because it's what we are interested in, and I will do something like UI and delete. And then I will start modeling this. So I will make a hole. This is going to be a hole. Alright. And the depth of the hole is determined by this line. And where the hole starts, that should be right here. Alright, so I will select this face, and I think this part is just like watch and learn. I won't be very good at explaining it, but I will move it down, and then I'll delete these two faces because they're two faces on top of each other, and I will use MQ to solder this. And as you can see, because this was on a bit of an angle, it's a little bit off, but I can just try and fix it a little bit. Alright, we can also do like this and add a little bit of sharpening to when this is going to be subdivided. So there we go, and a few lines down here. And I can take this cylinder now and hold Alt and add it into an array. If I put the radius to 0 and the number of copies to 11, it's going to match up, because we need 12 copies or 12 instances, but if I set it to 0, it's going to just create 1. Why are there 2? Oh, that's because we can't set it to 0. Alright, but put it to 12, and this is going to look like this. Then I'll just press C open up the array and take all this and use connect objects plus delete, and let's do like this. Take these two, connect objects plus delete, and I'll go in here and just weld everything. And if I subdivide it, you can see this is what we've got. This looks pretty good in my opinion. Alright, so we have a little bit of deformation in these corners, but to me it's not a very big deal. Alright, now we need to create this hole. I'll scale out. Just move this in, and then I will right click and use split, and I'll delete this and take this part which we're interested in and move it out. So this, when I subdivide this, you can see we get this hole, and we've got this plane, or this disc in here that we can create this shape out of, hopefully. Alright, how in the world do I create this? So as you can see, I have actually made this shape once before, but I don't quite remember now. But we will figure it out. So let's start by making a card right around here. So we need 8, and that's nice because we've got 36 sides, and I think that divides into 4 quite nicely. Alright, let's change the amount of holes to 12 instead. So the way you do this is that you create a disk with let's see, you create a disk and you give it 10 sides. Right, so you create a disk and you give it 10 sides, and you'll see this has the perfect this is perfectly round. So we can take this disk's C-axis and copy it onto the disk. What is happening? Alright. We take this disk, sorry, we need the points on the disk. It's a little bit confusing, but you can see the origin is a little bit far behind, so we need these points C-axis, and we give this to the disk. There we go, and we can now place this right around here. I'll take these two objects and I will do this command again, which is connect and delete. What happened? For some reason this is not working right now. Let's try to delete this first. This way we can see what we're doing. So what we basically want to do is to connect the points from the disk to these points. But first we need them to be in the same object. Did I choose connect objects? Alright, of course we can't do that, because it wasn't a even an object. Alright, we can now do this. So go around and connect all this. And if you're wondering how I'm changing tools so quickly, it's because I'm using the space bar. By pressing the space bar, you can quickly change tools. And there we go. Now we want to do something like this. UA to just arrange the normals, and can push this back, and like this. Alright, and if you just grow the selection, UI and delete, we can take this into an array, change the radius to 0 and the copies to 11. Do the same thing by putting this into one object. And there we go. Alright, so if we create a ring right here and insert this, we will have our finished shape. And there we go. Now we've got all these holes. So if you were a little bit more awake than I am right now, you would have created them a little bit larger, but it looks alright. Okay, so in my opinion, this is the motor done right now. We don't really need to do anything more special to this thing. The only thing we need to do is figure out, is this the whole motor? Yes, it is. So I'll call this motor rear or something, and I will put it into the wing, and that way we will get 4 clones. If we save this, we can do a test render, and now it's looking pretty nice. Alright, so this is the motors done, and what we need to do next is just to add a few details. So the next part will just be adding details. We'll be adding all this small stuff and the canopy and some stuff like that. So you can look forward to that.
Thank you for watching Edupedia World. Stay tuned for more videos.